All right. So let us start. Introduction to Pentateuch. Okay. And this is all from your notes. As I said, I'm just giving you a summary. The rest of it you will have to study by yourself. All right. So Unit 2 is all about, we are starting from the books. And the first section, as we had seen in our first class lecture, is to do with Pentateuch. Okay, so let us learn a little bit more about what is this Pentateuch. Pentateuch is the foundation of Judaism. All right, if you're not familiar with Judaism, this is Hebrew, or if you're not familiar with Hebrew again, this is, we're talking of Israel, okay, or the Israelites and their language. All right, Judaism is their faith, okay, as Christians are called, our faith is known as Christianity. So for Hebrews or the Israelites, it is Judaism, okay. But the interesting part is that the Pentateuch is of the Israelites. However, it has also made great contribution to Christianity. Okay, so if you are a Christian, that means Pentateuch we have borrowed extensively from Judaism. But which parts have we borrowed? It has to do with the Old Testament. Okay, so our Old Testament in the Bible is from the Pentateuch. All right, and then another religion is the Muslims, their Quran. Okay, just like for Christians we have our Bible, the Muslims have their holy scripture known as the Quran. Okay, so not the entire Quran, but you have quite a good portion, stories that have been taken from the Pentateuch. Okay, so that's the first point. Then we come to the second one. Let us look at this word Pentateuch, because it's important for us to understand, as this is a foreign word. Okay, so it is a Greek word. Greek, please keep this in mind. It is a Greek word, and I have done this in italics. Okay, so whether it is Bible or any kind of academic studies, just to give you an idea, foreign words should usually be highlighted in italics. Okay, so that's why, because this is not an English word, but it's a Greek word, that's why it's highlighted in italics. Okay, the meaning of this Pentateuch comes from the word Pentateuchos. Okay, Pentateuchos. And in English, the meaning of Pentateuch or Pentateuchos is 5 volumes or 5 books of the law. All right. That is why in Christianity, the first 5 books of the Old Testament are classified under this category. That means, which are the first 5 books? By now, I'm sure you must have gone and opened at least the content portion of your Bible, right? And there you will see, we start with Genesis, right? Genesis, Exodus, after that comes Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's 5 books, right? The first 5 books of the Old Testament, and that is known as Pentateuch, okay? Now, let us come to this word is Pentateuch, is a word that you will quite often hear, okay? When we refer to the Old Testament, we will hear the word Pentateuch quite often, but it is not just one word, all right? It has several other words, and I want to introduce that to you. For example, on my screen, I can see John Rokoseno and all these people. Now, John and Rokoseno, let's take for example, are your official names, right? But you will also have certain nicknames, right? Which, you know, your family or your close friends are familiar with, and maybe they call you by those nicknames. So like that, Pentateuch is also known by different names, okay? So let's look at that, number 3. As we have seen in point number 2, Pentateuch is a Greek word. And in English, this Greek word Pentateuch means 5 volume or books, okay? Now, sometimes it is also known by another name or word which is called as the Torah, all right? Torah is a Hebrew word which means instructions, okay? For example, as teachers to our students, or your parents will give you certain instructions, right? Or if you have, you know, you're the elders in the family, or you have younger siblings, sometimes as the older one, you would give instructions to your siblings, right? So instructions, okay? Torah, which means instructions. And in English, you will also find the Pentateuch is known as the law, okay? Now this word, you will find this phrase, the law, used mostly, okay? Please identify some of the words that I'm saying, mostly, okay? Mostly in the New Testament, all right? Especially the Gospels. Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? In the New Testament, the first 4 books, you will find Jesus referring, when he refers to the Old Testament, he will not use the word Old Testament, okay? You will find him using the phrase, the law and the prophets, okay? So this is an English word, the law, but this is mainly, you will find it in the New Testament, all right? So in case, let's say for example, we have a quiz, okay, later on in our class, and I ask you about this word Pentateuch to be given in, you know, or to choose Torah, all these, then you know what to write, isn't it? So that is the whole purpose. Then the 4th point is the Pentateuch is the backbone for a cohesive link between the Old Testament and the New Testament, okay? What is the meaning of this? It simply means that without the Pentateuch, the rest of the Old Testament or the rest of the New Testament will be incomplete, okay? That's the meaning, all right? When we say is the backbone, it means only with the Pentateuch, it makes the entire story of the Bible complete. So Pentateuch is very, very important, all right? Okay, so far, are we good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, great. We have very, you know, we're running against time. So that's where. All right, then let's go down. The book contains a chronological and theological progression, okay? Progressively, not progressively. All right, I cannot find the delete. Okay, I got it. Okay. Okay, so The book contains a chronological and theological progression. Okay, so we have looked at the word progression or progressive. Remember the word progressive in our last class? It's the same thing. Okay, so I'm not going to explain again. Chronological means what? I've given here logical. Chronology has to do with time. Okay, time. So, for example, history. If you have studied history in school or college, then history deals a lot with dates, right? Dates and years, which has to do with time. Okay, so chronology, always remember this, has to do with time. Okay, now what is the meaning of this? You will study more of this in the second semester, but just to give you an idea, for example, in the book of Psalms number 90, okay, this is just an example. Psalms number 90 is credited, okay, to have been written by Moses, all right? But you imagine this, the time frame between Moses and David when they lived, they are centuries apart, all right? But you have in the book where David has written, which is the book of Psalms, you have somebody who died, centuries back, like Moses, Psalms number 90, okay? Now, how is this possible? The Bible does not, look at mainly, all right, mainly as who has written where, but it is looking at how it can be logically, how the story, okay, can be logically connected, all right? So that is the one. Theological, again, this is a word that I've already explained to you in my previous class. I've just, for the benefit of some, just written again how God unfolds his plan. So that is the thing. Okay, I will not explain more on this. Let's go to the books now. There are 5 books under Pentateuch, and we begin with Genesis. All right. What is the meaning of Genesis? It is the beginning. Okay. The meaning of the word Genesis is the beginning. In this book, what do you find? All right. It begins with how the world came into existence. Okay. So here we are talking of Bible talks of creation. All right. This is very important. Bible talks of creation. Science talks of evolution. And evolution, we are going back to Charles Darwin, right? So I'm sure you know what is evolution. We don't have to get into that. But remember, creation is the story that we have in the book of Genesis. All right? So we have been created by God. That is the first story that we find. What else can we find in the book of Genesis? Another significant story in Genesis is Israel being the chosen race, right? God had to start with someone or a group of people. And there God chose Israel as the chosen race, okay? And the story begins with God choosing Israel and entering into a sort of contract with them, okay? But the story does not end there, all right? In 2020, we are still part of God's story, which is unfolding. Remember the word progression, it's still unfolding, right? And it will continue to go on. The story will be complete only with the second coming of Jesus. Okay, so keep that in mind. So Israel being chosen. Then another significant story that you find in Genesis is, I think, I don't know how many of us have gone to Sunday school, but Abraham being the father of the nation, We are all familiar with this, right? So I'm not going to go to the story, but the promised blessing given to Abraham, right? And that blessing, again, is being carried on till today. We are all part of that God's plan of blessing, which he began with Abraham. Okay? So that is Genesis for you. The rest of the nitty-gritties in the book is your responsibility as a student to do further readings. Okay? We'll come to the next one, Exodus. What is the meaning of Exodus? It means going out. Okay? Now, what is this going out? Here, the whole book, this is the story. The first story that you find in Exodus is the great escape from slavery under Moses. Remember that great miracle of parting of the Red Sea? How they escaped from Egypt? It's about that. Okay? Then you have, after escaping from slavery, right? The Israelites move through the desert for 40 years, isn't it? And then finally, God gives them a land, okay? Gives them a place to settle down, which in the Bible, sometimes you will come across the word Canaan, okay? This Canaan is also sometimes known as the promised land, okay? I've not given here, sometimes this is also known as the land of milk and honey. Okay, you're familiar with at least one of this, right? So all these means the same thing. Today, okay, in 2020, this land of Canaan is Palestine. Okay, you know where is Palestine, right? So that is the land of Canaan. Okay, so it's not here, but let me give you an extra thing about this one. The Israelites settling in Canaan. Prior to this, the Israelites, please remember, were simply a group of people. Okay? It is only after settling in this land that they become a full-fledged nation. That is the difference. Okay? Before settling in Canaan, they were just simply known as a community. Okay? A group of people called the Israelites. But after settling in Canaan, they become a full-fledged nation. And the story picks up from there. Okay? Then what else do you find? Another famous story in the Exodus is, remember, you're familiar with this, right? The 10 Commandments. If some of you don't have an idea what I'm talking about, go to Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 to 17. Okay? Now, where was this given? It was given at Mount Sinai. Okay? Another thing, some people, you know, you say Sinai, right? That's okay, I think, as long as it's, you know, we can understand. But the real pronunciation of this word is Sinai. Okay? So you may like to keep that in mind. And you also find this. This is important. Moral, social, and ceremonial laws were given, okay, by God to the Israelites when they had settled in Canaan and they were becoming a full-fledged nation. This is where God gave them these laws. Okay, mark this and keep. You will find them in Exodus chapters 19 to 25. All right. All right, not much time. Let me quickly finish it. Then we come to the third one, Leviticus. The meaning of Leviticus is he called out. Okay. What do you find in the book of Leviticus? Mainly it has to do with laws. All right. So these are main points. Keep this in mind. It has to do with laws. What kind of laws, ordinances is provided on how to conduct religious sacrifices and other rituals. Okay. Make note of this. All right. Make note of this. Israel consists of 12 tribes. Okay. Out of the 12 tribes, there is a tribe called the Levite tribe. All right. This Levite tribe was exclusively chosen to look after the religious affairs. Okay. So in other words, during the Old Testament times, they did not have this music academy, or they did not have, all these offices where they can go and work. It was mainly agriculture, right? So the interesting part was other tribes could, go to the fields and be involved in other tasks, but for the Levites, they were chosen specifically only to concentrate in the temple or the religious activities. Okay, so these are the things you need to focus on. So I'm highlighting only the important things in the books. Okay, now let's come to the fourth one, Numbers. Numbers meaning again in the desert. All right, what do you find in the book of Numbers? It deals with the Israelites' journey through the desert. And as I've said, keep this in mind, history is important. 40 years in the desert, okay, before they settled in Canaan. And other things. You know why it's called Numbers? Because it's related to this, okay? Census. That's why it's called Numbers, all right? Census means what? Counting the number of people in the population, right? So counting of, but remember this, for the Israelites, when the census was taken, it was mainly the men, okay? Women and children were left out, all right? It was mainly the men who were counted, all right? Census was taken. Then another significant thing happening in the book of Numbers is tabernacle, construction of the tabernacle. Okay, so this is important. Today for us, we call it church, right? We have the church, but in the Old Testament, they started with the tabernacle, all right? Then you have under Joshua, Israel is now becoming a nation. So they are trying to make their defense, their army, okay, raise up their military strength under Joshua, okay? So all these things happening in the book of Numbers. Then in your notes, you will find this word. I just wanted to highlight this. Some of you may be confused. What is this? Okay, this is the short form of the name Yahweh, which is the name of God, one of the names of God in the Old Testament. Okay, so you will find sometimes El Shaddai, Elohim, these are all names of God in the Old Testament, but the most common one is Yahweh. All right, so if you know at least this one, you have successfully at least completed 20% of your course, I would say that. Okay, all right. So quickly, we're running out of time. Deuteronomy, which means second law. Okay. Now, very simple. Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy, second law means, it's given here, refer to Exodus and Leviticus section, right? Under Exodus and Leviticus, we have seen God giving the Israelites certain laws, right? So that law is simply, okay, for the second time, it was reaffirmed. So it's just a repetition of what you find in Exodus and Leviticus happening in Deuteronomy as far as the law is concerned. Okay, then this is what you need to also keep in mind. The book concludes with the death of Moses. Moses, why? Because here, Moses is considered as the writer of the Pentateuch. Okay, so this is all there in your Bible. Traditionally, Moses is considered the author of the Pentateuch. Okay, perhaps with the exception of the later part of Deuteronomy. You go to the last chapter of Deuteronomy, that will give you an idea that Moses dies before completion of that last chapter of Deuteronomy. Okay, so perhaps the last chapter in the book of Deuteronomy was written by somebody else. All right, because by that time Moses had already passed away. But the major portion of the 5 books are credited to have been written by Moses. Okay, so that is just in a gist. Now, if you have your handouts, your study material, after authorship, you will find these important characters in the Bible. There are 10 of them. Okay, so that is not rocket science, very simple. And that's why I've written self-study. All right, okay. We're going to end our class, but this is your assignment, assignment number 1. I'll leave it on your screen. Please write it down. Can you see it, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please write it down or whatever. This is your question. Identify the various moral, social, and ceremonial laws given by God to the Israelites. Okay, you can go to Google and search also, but later on I will teach you the right format, but for this time, I want you to just give it a try. Your main source will be the Bible, okay? And if you go to Exodus chapters 19 to 25, you will find the answer to your question, moral, social, and ceremonial laws. All right. So from the next assignment, I will not give you clues, but being the first one, I thought you will need an idea. So we start with a very simple assignment. Keep this in mind. This is for 10 marks. Okay, this 10 marks assignment will be part of your internal assessment. Remember, 30 marks internal assessment. Out of that, we're doing this 10 marks assignment. Okay, please make note of these requirements. All right, so any questions regarding the explanation or even the assignment? I think we have few minutes, 2 minutes. I have 2 minutes. Okay, let's talk of the assignment. Okay?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have a question. Does this have to be done in a computer or on pages? Like we have to write this in the computer?
Font size means computer, right? This one. But, okay, if there's anyone who is, you know, having problems getting access to computer typed materials, I mean, sending your work, then you can do it handwritten. Okay? Handwritten.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, handwritten is acceptable. However, your handwritten, this is computer, 4 pages maximum. That means You can write even 1 page, but remember, be smart, it is 10 marks assignment, okay? All I am saying is don't go beyond 4 pages, all right? These are all academic discipline, which we are introducing for you to learn, okay? So you can do it 2 pages also, 3 pages also, but don't go beyond 4. This is computer. If it is handwritten, 4 pages of computer and handwritten is very different. Handwritten will have to be at least 6-7 pages, okay? So if you don't have access to a computer, it's okay. Feel free to do it handwritten and send it, all right? Okay, I have less than 1 minute. So is that okay? Are we good? If,
Yeah. What format do you want this in?
it's given here, font size 12 times Roman double spacing. Use this.